It began with a noise that had no place on that peaceful residential street. The thunderous growl of Harley Davidson motorcycles sliced through the afternoon stillness like a storm approaching across a tranquil horizon. 4 motorcyclists arrived, their dark leather vests displaying the blazing emblem of the Hells Angels, their silhouettes extending far across the sun-warmed asphalt. Residents peered out from behind their window drapes. Parents ushered their children inside, and it seemed even the breeze held its breath. Yet through all that mechanical roar and gleaming metal, a quieter, gentler voice emerged, shaking, pure, and achingly urgent. "Excuse me, sir, would you purchase my bicycle?" The riders decelerated, their engines settling into a low idle. Standing at the curb was a small girl, barely 6 years old. Her hair was fair and tousled, her dress far too pristine considering how threadbare her shoes appeared. A rose-colored bicycle with an ivory basket rested at her side, and she gripped a handmade cardboard placard that read, "For sale." The shortest rider, or perhaps the most compassionate, shut off his engine and dismounted. His companions did the same, their substantial boots striking the concrete with heavy thuds. He lowered himself to her level, the polished chrome of his motorcycle catching the light behind her like a reflection of an unforgiving reality. The child's name was Mira, and her gaze contained something no young face should ever carry, utter weariness. In the background, beneath a distant tree, an elderly woman sat collapsed against its base, draped in a threadbare blanket, ashen and frail. The motorcyclist felt his chest constrict as Mira spoke once more, gripping her handwritten sign more firmly. "Please, mister, my mommy hasn't had anything to eat for 2 whole days. If you have faith in compassion, in opportunities for redemption, in rising to action when society looks the other way, please consider taking a moment to like, comment, share, and subscribe to Untold Stories 0.4. Narratives such as this serve as reminders that empathy still possesses the power to transform everything." The biker went by the name Ryder. His fellow riders nicknamed him Wolf, though the moniker never truly suited him. Underneath the ink and hide was a soul who had suffered losses beyond what most could fathom, a father who had abandoned him, a son who never returned home, and trust in humanity he believed had vanished forever. Yet on that sweltering afternoon, crouching on that scorching pavement, he sensed something awakening within him once again. He questioned her gently about what she meant, and through stuttering words and silent tears, Mira revealed the entire story. Her mother, Clara, had been employed at a neighborhood catering business owned by a man everyone in the community held in high regard. Mr. Hensley, the chief executive, flashed his smile on glossy magazine pages and contributed to charitable causes whenever cameras were present. When the business underwent restructuring, Clara found herself among the terminated employees. She implored him, desperately asking to retain her position just a few more weeks so she could provide sustenance for her daughter. But Hensley showed no concern. He declared her expendable. From that point forward, Clara had grown too feeble to pursue new employment. Financial obligations accumulated, the refrigerator stood empty, and her dignity prevented her from seeking assistance. Mira had taken her sole possession, her rose-colored bicycle, and made the decision to exchange it for nourishment. Ryder experienced something fracturing deep within him, like the final strand restraining years of suppressed fury. His brothers, Tank, Viper, and Mason, had witnessed that expression previously. Without uttering a syllable, they acknowledged with subtle nods. What they experienced wasn't sympathy. It was fury, the variety that emerges from witnessing purity destroyed by avarice. Ryder reached inside his leather vest, withdrew his billfold, and pressed a thick fold of currency into the small girl's quivering palm. "Keep your bicycle, little one," he whispered, his tone deep and roughened by feeling. But this wasn't where things would conclude. Not for him. He couldn't simply depart on his motorcycle, aware that some privileged individual had stolen everything from a woman and her child. He instructed Mira to remain with her mother, gave his word that he would return shortly, and then the motorcycle engines thundered back to life. The Hells Angels made no claims to righteousness, but they operated by their own code of justice. They employed neither firearms nor physical force on that particular day. What they wielded instead was the truth. They located Hensley's headquarters, a towering glass structure that sparkled in the daylight, a testament to self-importance. The quartet of men entered like the calm following a lightning strike, their footsteps reverberating across the polished marble flooring. The front desk attendant became paralyzed with apprehension. Ryder's gaze locked onto Hensley's through the transparent barrier of his executive suite. The sort of man adorned with an expensive timepiece, an insincere expression, and palms that hadn't performed genuine labor in decades. "What's the meaning of this?" Hensley sneered as they crossed the threshold. But Ryder refrained from raising his voice. He positioned the "For Sale" placard on the executive's immaculate desk, the identical cardboard that Mira had been holding. "That right there," he stated calmly, "represents the price of your avarice." For the first time, the sophisticated corporate leader appeared unsettled. Ryder recounted the story of the young girl, the mother wasting away beneath a tree, and the bicycle that held more worth in devotion than all his luxury vehicles put together. Hensley attempted to justify his actions, murmuring about commercial necessities and workforce reductions. But his rationalizations evaporated when he encountered the intensity burning in those men's stares. Not the rage of lawbreakers, but the fire of moral conviction. They inflicted no harm upon him. There was no need. Instead, Ryder leaned forward and declared, "You cannot purchase absolution, but you are being given an opportunity to act righteously." By the time evening arrived, word had traveled throughout the community that the chief executive who had previously dismissed a desperate mother had secretly provided a full year's supply of food to struggling families, settled medical debts for parents raising children alone, and restored employment to those he had wronged. Nobody understood what had transformed his conscience. Only a handful of hardened men and a small girl with a rose-colored bicycle knew the truth. When Ryder and his brothers made their way back to that tree as twilight approached, Mira sprinted toward them, her eyes brilliant with elation. Her mother, Clara, now stood upright, still fragile, but wearing a smile for the first time in many weeks. The fading light illuminated her features, and Ryder observed how her hand shook slightly when she attempted to express her gratitude. He merely acknowledged her with a simple nod, inclining his head as the cooling engines idled near them. "You're indebted to us for nothing," he responded. "Just give me your word that you'll never surrender." They broke bread together that evening, the motorcyclists, the woman, and the small girl who had offered to sell her bicycle not for playthings, but out of pure love. The descending sun cast golden light across the polished chrome, the lawn, and the cardboard placard now resting folded in Mira's small lap. For one fleeting moment, the world seemed a little less fractured. If this narrative has moved your soul, if it has shown you that compassion can emerge from the most unlikely sources, please take just a moment to like, share, comment, and subscribe to Untold Stories 0.4. Every interaction helps narratives of genuine kindness reach individuals who desperately need hope. And before we conclude, share with us in the comment section. What action would you have taken if you had been in Ryder's position? Because occasionally all that's required is a single act of bravery to restore the entire world's faith in human kindness once more.